And we are live. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Undead 3XVI, and welcome to the Gaming Perspective podcast, and welcome to our PlayStation E3 predictions special. So this will be a pretty great show. Hope everyone is having a great Saturday night so far. So let me introduce the cast for tonight's episode. Mr. Samuel Tolbert.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Excited to finally get to talk about what we think PlayStation will be showing. Lots to go over, so let's get right into it.
Right on. And Jared?
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning into the Gaming Perspective. I'm really excited to talk about some of these awesome PlayStation exclusives coming out soon and what we might not know. So let's get talking.
Right on. And Mr. Eric Jackson?
What is up, my brothers in gaming? Happy to be here. Looking forward to talking about what PlayStation has coming up for E3. So let's go.
Right on, right on. Any housekeeping stuff? No, we're good that way. So we'll dive right into the main subject. So PlayStation E3, we are basically like 9 days away. Yeah, 9 days away next weekend we kick off E3.
Start off with the EA conference first thing in the afternoon. It's the North American side, and you got the Xbox briefing on Sunday.
Yep. It's a pretty exciting time. It's actually one of the few times I've actually been pretty excited for all the conferences. I'm definitely most excited for PlayStation and Xboxes and Bethesda.
It seems everybody has something up their sleeves this year.
Yeah, for sure. Like even EA, which I'm not usually hyped for their conferences, but I'm kind of excited to see more about Anthem. So.
Exactly. You know, yeah. Anthem. There's so much riding on that game for the EA right now, technically for reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Especially after that loot box.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that game turns out. And it's interesting for me to see what PlayStation has next because we're coming off of Detroit, which did very well. We had God of War, which was absolutely amazing.
We got Spider-Man coming out.
So we got Spider-Man. We've got Death Stranding. We've got Last of Us Part 2. We've got Ghost of Tsushima. We've got there's a whole lot of stuff down the pipeline still that we haven't seen a lot of, or we've been highly anticipating more to be seen. So I kind of want to ask everyone, what's the one thing you're most excited for that we know is coming? Like, what's your one thing you're most excited for to see coming? So we'll start with Sam.
From the PlayStation show, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, it's Ghost of Tsushima. And there's a reason for it. Doesn't mean I'm more excited for it. It's not the game I'm most excited for. However, there's a lot of, not controversy, but there's a lot of internal debate amongst the fans and, rumors and stuff like that about what kind of game this is going to be. I mean, obviously we get the idea, all right, historically accurate game, takes place in feudal Japan. It's at the time of the Mongol invasion. That's great stuff, especially for history buffs like me seeing this kind of thing. But, okay, let me put this another way. Given Sucker Punch's history, how much do we actually think that this is just a straight up ninja game? Or do we think that there's a twist coming? Like maybe some sort of ghostly superpowers? Or things like that. I don't know. That's just where my line of thought is. I want to see the gameplay. I want to see how this is going to go. Because I know that Sucker Punch has a very interesting history. Some people would argue that they haven't really gotten the recognition they deserved. I'll leave that debate for another time. But I don't know. I'm interested to see what goes on here.
Yeah, for sure. Jared, what about yourself?
I guess I kind of have to echo Sam a little bit there, but I have to divide it up into two things. Two categories. The first one is I'm more curious about Ghost of Tsushima because I really want to know what it's about. I want to see the gameplay. I want to see what it's eventually going to be about, how it's going to play out and that sort of thing. But what I'm most excited to see is The Last of Us 2. I want to see way more of that game because what they showed last time looked spectacular. And you know what? If they keep it consistent, wow. Just wow.
Yeah, for sure. Eric, what about yourself?
Yeah, I was going to say, for a lot of the same reasons Sam did, Ghost of Tsushima. Because, this is pretty much the first time in a long time that Sucker Punch is going to do something outside of Infamous.
Right. That's they've kind of been the infamous studio for a good decade or so.
Right.
Mhm.
And I want to see more about what that game's about. And like Sam said, is it a complete history retelling, or will they throw in some supernatural element, to kind of play around with, making it more of a game?
Right. And I'd be cool with it either way. I think they can do it either way.
Yeah. Same here. And yeah, so that's probably the one. Like I said, I'm excited for pretty much a lot of what they have coming, but the one add curiosity to excitement.
Mhm.
That's the one.
Right on, yeah. For me personally, it's like a two-way tie between Spider-Man, because it's Insomniac Games, and Insomniac is behind one of my favorite franchises, which is the Resistance series. I don't know what that Sunset Overdrive stuff is. Keep that over there.
Well. That's okay. I had so many people talk about Sunset Overdrive. I'm like, it's okay. It's not the greatest.
If people had bought Sunset Overdrive as much as they talk about it now, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Hey man, they can't be responsible for silly people.
All up slandering all up in here.
Yeah, man. But this disrespect for Sunset will not stand.
Okay, well, you guys disrespected Spider-Man 2, so I don't have to respect anything you guys don't respect. We're moving on from this.
Spider-Man 2 was fine until Ultimate Spider-Man came out. So
no one disrespected Spider-Man 2. Nope. It simply isn't the best Spider-Man game.
Derail happened.
It was just usurped by a better Spider-Man game. That's all. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
All right, before you guys give me a headache, I'm also excited for Death Stranding, because I feel like this E3 will finally be the E3 where we find out what this game is.
You're optimistic.
I don't know, man. It takes 3 to 4 hours to get into the game to figure out or to understand what you're finally doing, apparently.
Welcome to Kojima land.
Good luck. They might see something interesting, but I highly doubt we'll be able to figure it out.
Kojima tweeted out that picture of that grass. That was amazing looking grass.
The moss, so good, so pretty. Much wow. Such
I need that Throat Baby t-shirt.
I think I had a conversation with. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure me and PlayStation Bra talked about making some licensed Kojima like baby thumbs up picture t-shirts at some point. I believe that was a conversation before.
But the whole shirt has to be like that. It has to be just the giant image of the baby sucking the thumb. It's like right in the center of the shirt, but then the rest of it's just like that pink image.
So I wanted PlayStation Bra to do me up a shirt like that, except he had it with he had the baby with the PlayStation beanie and the aviator glasses with the thumbs up instead. I needed that.
There you go. There you go.
So it's pretty interesting. We're all excited for a different variety of games that Sony will be showing off. And these are the confirmed games for the Sony E3 conference. And they said they were going to do deep dives into these 4 games, and these were the pillars of their show. Mm-hmm. So while talking about these games, we're going to break them down one by one. We're not going to talk too much about Spider-Man because we already know when that's coming. And we've already seen, thanks to Game Informer and everything else, we've kind of seen a lot of the game already. Like, we haven't seen all of it that has to offer. Obviously, they're going to hold some stuff back. But we have a really good idea about what Spider-Man is.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's start with Ghost of Tsushima. It looks really good. It's been in development for, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 3 to 4 years, I think, Sam?
5 years.
5 years. 5 years. I knew it was a longer period of time. So it's been in development for a while. So realistically, we could see this thing maybe dropping with a release window. What do you think we'll see? Do you think we'll see a detailed gameplay trailer with like a gameplay story trailer with a release window of 2019?
I think so. If it's been in that long development, for sure. Because, I mean, to compare, let's say, to the development cycle of God of War, it took roughly 5 years, correct?
Yes,
yeah,
you are correct.
So if God of War can be achieved at that type of quality in a 5-year time span, I think we could very much see highly potentially see a polished version of what Ghost of Tsushima could potentially be like, and say, hey guys, here's a surprise, we got a release date, and it's coming out this fall, sort of thing, or maybe it's coming out spring, early 2019, sort of thing. So it's the potential's there.
Yeah, for sure. Eric, what do you think?
As far as release date?
Yeah, as far as like release date, what we're going to see at E3, like what do you think they're going to show off?
I definitely think that we're going to finally get gameplay and get the detail of what the game actually is. Of course, not so much, the whole grand scope of it, but I definitely think they'll leave us with an impression of what it's all about. And as far as the release date, I see it definitely being probably maybe like early next year, or maybe not early next year, but maybe like right before the summer, like that. May
It's a good time
like
frame.
April, May.
That makes sense.
Well, it seems like a lot of companies are still trying to stick to more recently, like a year to year and a half cycle of when they announce it. That's when they want to release it, right? Not announce it so early. You gotta wait so long and drag it out, sort of thing. They want to seem to be kind of try to keep the hype train going up until the sales and not let it, taper down a little bit.
Yeah. Sam, what about yourself? What's your thought pattern on this?
It's difficult to say. It really is difficult to say. There's a couple of different scenarios, really, and I haven't decided which one makes the most sense. Right now, in terms of Sony's 2019, I see Days Gone landing in that February-March slot, that early part of the year. And then Ghost of Tsushima could land in May. Right now, I've got it pegged for more of an August or a September, though.
Yeah, see, what I think they're going to do is I think they're going to give you like an in-depth look. I think you're going to get gameplay. I think you're going to get story. You're going to get maybe 15, 20 minutes, maybe kind of similar to how they announced God of War back in 2016. They showed off that intro section. I think they'll do something like that. I think you'll see a date or even a release with, I swear, with Ghost of Tsushima, I feel like they're going to say 2019 as like a blanket statement.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a pretty safe wager. I think we'll get more details of where they think that'll land at PSX, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Because PSX lands in December?
Yeah,
Yes.
or it's either early December or
PSX
late November.
That's December, that first week of December.
Yeah, first week of December, yeah.
There you go.
So I definitely think that we'll get more details when it comes to its date and everything else, but we're definitely going to see gameplay. We're definitely going to see story. So we're definitely going to see what this game is about. I kind of hope there's there's part of me that wants there to be a supernatural curve to it, and then there's part of me that just wants it to be straight up gritty Japanese, historical.
Right. So here's the thing, right? Let's dive in on that. I feel like if it's a big RPG, like a 40, 50, 60-hour game, that there's going to be supernatural elements. And the reason is, you guys feel free to slap me around and correct me, but I feel like if you're limited to just regular ninja abilities, I say regular, it'll still be really cool. If you're limited to human limitations and human enemies, and that's all there is, that 50, 60, 70 hours might begin to wear a little thin. In terms of
as an enemy variety.
Right. Now, if this is more of a maybe 20, 25, 30-hour tops thing, then I can see them sticking with regular ninja abilities.
What I would almost want.
Well, hold on. Let me finish one more thing, because I remember one of the few complaints that Neo got, apart from its absurd difficulty spikes, was the fact that people didn't think that game had enough enemy variety. And that game was supernatural. It did have, mystical demons and yokai and things like that. So, I don't know. I have trouble believing if Neo was getting criticized for its enemy variety, then Ghost of Tsushima will definitely get slammed for it if it's just humans that you're fighting.
I have to agree.
What if, now hear me out on this, the main story focuses on a traditional Japanese feudal war. So it follows that along. It follows the intricacy of Japanese politics and everything during that time period. But your side quests to upgrade your gear and everything else involves mythical adventures where you go on, you want to upgrade your chest plate. Well, there's this mystical one that is imbued with but you have to go through these trials to get it. Something similar to that, almost like God of War, I guess.
That's actually a really cool idea.
Like that's just my thing, because like Japan's culture is so spiritual. I feel like it'd be a huge miss if they didn't incorporate that even a little bit into it. Like, I'm not saying you have to go hack and slash a Japanese ghost to pieces or something like that, but I think it would, if you have like side objectives where you can get upgrades to your armor. That was something that God of War did really, really well. And we do know that Sony studios do pay attention really, really well to what other studios are doing. And I feel like this would be a huge opportunity for them to do that. I feel with like a 5-year development cycle, I feel like part of that 5-year cycle was learning the culture, learning the ins and outs of what they could do with this game. And
well, you say that. Fun fact, by the way, this is just a little fun factoid that doesn't have much bearing. The team several years ago was actually in Japan taking, photos, doing some photography, doing some paintings and sketches of architecture and ruins and mountains. And they had people who recognized them as members of Sucker Punch, and they panicked because they thought, oh no, the jig is up. People are going to know what it is. But it never got reported at all. So I thought that was a fun little story, because they were literally panicking, supposedly internally, about people knowing that they were going to be doing something relating to Japan.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think with Ghost of Tsushima, depending on what we see, I'm excited for it because Sucker Punch makes great games, mechanically as well, and they make very beautiful games too. I really didn't notice it until I fired up Infamous, and I just soaked it in. It's a really beautiful game, and it runs really, really well.
Here's the funny thing with that, and I don't know if I've actually said this on here before, but I remember when they showed that, and of course, in the console war side of things, people were saying, well, we don't know what that game's going to look like. Saw was like CGI footage. And I'm like, did you see Infamous Second Son at the beginning of the generation, what they were doing with that game? The one thing I don't really worry about when it comes to Sucker Punch is what their game is going to look like.
Right, exactly. No, I've seen so many people saying like, "Oh, this is CGI or it has to run on the PS5." It's like, no, I'm actually concerned about their writing. The game is going to look gorgeous. That's not up for debate.
And see, that's something we saw with Sony Santa Monica with God of War. Not to keep bringing up God of War, but the writing was a huge step up from previous titles. And with Ghost of Tsushima, I feel like Sucker Punch has to elevate themselves further than they ever have been with Infamous, because I always found with Infamous I was more invested in the gameplay than I was necessarily the story. I may be alone on that one.
No, I don't think you are.
Second Son doesn't have a strong story. Funny enough, Fetch, the character that they created to be the partner to Desmond, ended up being the more interesting character, and her DLC is actually the better game.
Huh. Yeah, not Last Light.
First Light.
First Light, thank you. Last Light is better. First Light.
I don't know did you guys play that, Nick?
I did not get a chance to play it. No.
You got to play that. Gotta play
Second Son.
Yeah,
I'm sure
not Second Son. First Light.
I'm sure it's dirt cheap at this point. I'll probably pick it up then.
Yeah,
if you're saying it's good.
Because Fetch is definitely, again, we've seen this happen before. She is the more interesting character. Desmond is sort of like just, I don't know. He's like that millennial guy or whatever. It's
stereotypical angry 20-something.
Yeah,
I actually saw a lot of relation to like Watch Dogs in terms of trying to swing for a particular aesthetic and generation, but it didn't land. It didn't hit at all.
Right. Now, Fetch's story in that game was actually interesting. The things that she was dealing with. She had complexity, she had depth, she had darkness, she had all these things that kind of made her character interesting. And they pick up on more of that in the First Light DLC. And her powers are actually, to me, cooler than Desmond's.
Nice. I'll definitely have to check that out then.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out too. So this is why I love this cast, is we have got half of us haven't played stuff, but the other half has played it, so it balances itself out pretty nicely.
Right. Mm-hmm. Let me throw like a curveball on Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
What if it has some kind of like co-op element?
I wouldn't be against it, but that goes against like the whole mantra that Sony Studios seems to have.
Because but dude, okay, so hold on. Let me build on what Eric is saying, and then let me provide a counterpoint because that backs up what he's saying here. Look, co-op ninjas, that's awesome. You and your buddies, even if it's just 2-player co-op, but imagine if it's up to 4-player, you and your buddies or your buddy working together to like take out guards and silence people and
Sorry, Sea
poison
of
water.
Thieves. I love you, but you know.
Yeah, okay, so there's that. And then 2, people are always shocked when I bring this up, but Horizon Zero Dawn was originally pitched as a co-op game. It was supposed to have 2-player co-op built as the main story element. It was going to be Aloy and then another character as well. But the CPU limitations were such that it was pretty much, hey, we can do these amazing robot dinosaurs and incredible creatures that you can blast apart with their own ecosystem and herd movements, or we can have 2-player co-op. And they were like, well, if we can't do the robot dinos, what's the point? So, yeah. But so, I mean, people say, oh, Sony's not going to do a co-op game. Horizon Zero Dawn was originally pitched as a co-op game. So, I don't know. It's possible. Yeah, I would definitely be down for it. I would be down for it, Eric.
Yeah. And I just think, like, again, I know people say, like, multiplayer co-op isn't where Sony, but they have done those things in the past. They do have the possibility of doing it. It's just,
Absolutely.
Right now it's been very, single-player focused, but again, definitely don't count them out as far as trying to do a game that has, those types of elements in them or whatever.
For sure.
Yeah. Especially going forward with Cadera.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Because he's made it clear that he's willing to, adjust a couple of things if necessary.
Right.
Not that he's going to shift, not that he's going to steer the ship in a completely different direction, but, hey, adjust 3 degrees right.
So no, he very much seems to be the guy that's like, hey, this is what we're good at. This is what we could be better at.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. So.
No. Once you're good at something, keep on doing it, but there's nothing wrong with improving where you're not good either.
Right. And the reason I kind of thought about the co-op thing was, it made me think of Red Dead. When you see like horses, you see samurai. Mm-hmm. Samurai are essentially cowboys in a way.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
They really are, actually, now that you bring it up.
Right. See, can you imagine like, you're posseing up to take on another clan or another, or to go on, to take on Ronin, samurai or, things like that,
Right, exactly. And not even that, but the fact that, again, this takes place during the Mongol invasion in Japan, which was obviously, if you know a lot about Japanese history, it was a very shocking event because it was one of the few times, a foreign enemy came in and was wreaking havoc before the Meiji Restoration anyways. So something like that, the kinds of grand scale battles that they might have us in, I can't even imagine. Like something straight out of Last Samurai, perhaps.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I just want to put that curveball out there.
Oh, yeah, dude. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good curveball. I think that's what's so great about Ghost of Tsushima, and it's why I'm excited for it. Not more than the other games, but I'm more intrigued by it because we don't know how this game is going to play or what kinds of elements are going to be there. There's a lot that needs to be cleared up. And overall, I have faith it's going to be exciting. I have faith that they're going to clear it up and show us something really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I guess, I don't think anyone has anything else to say about Ghost of Tsushima, right? I think we pretty much exhausted that game. And then Spider-Man, we want to talk about Spider-Man in depth? Okay. Let me rephrase that. Eric, do you want to talk about Spider-Man before we move on?
I think
what I want to say about Spider-Man. I'll be nice. I promise.
No, you can go in, man.
No. Honestly, legitimately, I have no reason to actually go in on it. It looks like a good game. It's Insomniac Studios. The gameplay is going to be awesome. And you know what? From when I played Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox, I can really see how well it's going to play out gameplay-wise. Because you kind of get a good idea on how the fluidity, the movement, and the motion, and the travel can kind of feel in Sunset Overdrive. You can kind of see it able to transfer over into Spider-Man. And I can just really see Insomniac making it into a really wonderful product to play and actually probably be the best Spider-Man game ever put out.
Right. Yeah, I think so too. And what I wanted to say about Spider-Man, like, we don't have to go super in depth, but the feeling I'm getting from Spider-Man is we don't have the whole picture.
Bingo. Dude, you took the words out of my mouth. Keep going.
Yeah, and people kept saying, well, they keep showing us the same thing. It's the same thing. I'm like, I think that's very deliberate. I think they're playing the bait and switch on us.
Yep.
And
I wouldn't be surprised.
We know there are other characters in this game, I'm kind of picking up. I'm thinking there's going to be like this GTA 5 thing going on, where on the fly you switch to a different, like it could be Miles, it could be Gwen, and people are saying like, well, Gwen's playable. What are you going to do with her? I'm like, have you guys not seen how dope Gwen, Spider Gwen can be?
Well, it's Mary Jane.
Mary. I'm sorry, not yeah.
Yeah, it's Mary Jane. But nonetheless, I don't want to cut you off. Is that all you were going to say about that?
No, go ahead, jump in.
Well, I wanted to say I was actually talking with Nick about this as well, so I'm interested to hear his take on it, and I'll kind of recap for that. But we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking with Mike as well from the Multiverse Show. I feel like we're having the wool pulled over our eyes. I feel like that they've got some sort of twist coming. They got a curveball that they're not showing. And the main thing is, again, why are you going to tease Miles Morales and say he's in the game if he doesn't have a real purpose? I mean, come on. That's just, why would you do that? So yeah, I don't know if it's like a spider.
Popular.
Exactly. Well, I don't want to get into that whole debate, but just very quickly, he's one of the few replacement Marvel characters that has actually gone over very well. Let me just put it out there like that, okay? Because he's real well written as a character. He's a very likable character.
And a character that people hated at first, like, really? Because it wasn't Peter. But then it became a thing where, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know if they're going to introduce the symbiote. I don't know if they're going to, have the Spider multiverse and like you said, Spider-Gwen, Peter Parker, Miles Morales, like you said, do a sort of GTA 5 type protagonist thing, which I'd be down for. But there's something. This game is not going to work as a 35 to 40 hour Spider-Man game with you just tracking down one or two villains.
No,
it does. It's like Spider-Man is renowned because he's the only Marvel character, I would say, that has a rogues gallery equal or even greater than Batman's in popularity.
Absolutely.
The only real Marvel character, because Batman has like the definitive rogues gallery, but Spider-Man is up there as well.
Yeah,
and so if you're just and don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely down with playing up Mr. Negative. Not Mr. Negative, of course, but it's Mr. Negative. I'm down with that because he's not a very well-known villain at all. He appeared in like 2 books, if I remember correctly. Very brief. The Wikipedia article about him fits in a single paragraph.
But a perfect video game villain.
Exactly. But again, I don't think he can be the video game villain for 35 to 40 hours. There's got to be something else to it. Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but I have full faith in Insomniac, and I'm really looking forward to it for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be surprised by cameos of other characters.
If I don't see Rhino, I'm rioting.
Well, as long as it's not that Paul Giamatti version. As long as we get the Jamie Foxx version of Electro, it's all good.
Seriously. Well, I mean, there is one other villain we know will be there for sure, because we know for a fact that at the very beginning of the game, like the opening cutscene, Wilson Fisk is being put in jail.
Right.
So even and again, this could be sort of like how I presume you guys have seen Daredevil season 2.
Yep.
Okay, so you know where I'm going with this then in terms of maybe they have Wilson sort of pulling the strings, even though he's in jail, the criminal mastermind, they play up that character. Maybe even bring in Daredevil somehow. I don't know. That would be really cool.
Say, Sam, Daredevil unlockable, because Daredevil move set wise could be very Spider-Man like.
Exactly. I mean, he can't web sling, but he can handle himself.
They put Daredevil in there. You guys are gonna have to visit me in the hospital.
Dude, I'm gonna request a transfer so we can get like nearby beds or something. I'll yell to you. It was awesome.
Like, what happened? Oh, you fainted.
Bruh.
Exactly. So there are so many directions they can go with this. It's not even funny, but pretty much all of them sound exciting. I'm really looking forward to that.
Hobgoblin in there at some point.
Oh man, I mean they can go so many different ways.
But that's the thing again about Spider-Man's rogues gallery is just pick one and it's exciting.
Well, see, that's the thing is like if they do this anywhere close to what the Arkham games did as fan service with the villains.
Man, those Arkham games. Oh man, they're so good. Like, not to kind of go off topic a little bit, but we gotta. I gotta just give a shout out to the guys that made the game, like Rocksteady. They're beautiful games. They were so good. I was just taken aback when they first originally came out with it. I personally wasn't expecting it. And damn.
Well, because we up to that point we really never got a good Batman game.
No, not just that, but like superhero games in general, like there have been Spider-Man games in the past and stuff like that, but there has been no like dark nitty gritty like superhero games that are like really true to the core of what the kind of comic was really like, sort of thing. I mean, there was Spider-Man, but not much else. And then they came out with this. I go, oh. And now with the rumors of Superman that they might be doing, I just go, my heart.
Yeah, which puts people into a lot of speculation about how do you do that. I'm like, I'm not worried because I mean they deliver on Batman, so hey, I'll just sit back and say, let's see what they do with Superman. I'm sure they'll figure out a way.
When you say you didn't have a early on dark and gritty superhero game, then you never played Superman 64, my friend.
Dark and gritty for a completely different reason.
Oh god, let's just not go there, okay, guys?
Yeah.
I think we can all agree there's practically no way they can mess this up with Spider-Man, and it's going to be.
I've got the digital deluxe version on order, and if they get a collector's edition open, I'm pre-ordering it.
Nice.
I don't blame you.
Because I reserve myself usually one collector's edition a year. I could afford the God of War one when at the time it was launching, so that kind of edged that one out. But the Spider-Man one, just the steel book on the Spider-Man one. Mwah.
Yeah, you love your steel books.
Oh man, I got like 70 of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch Nick.
I've got to get a bookshelf for mine. Mine are all in one box because my kids like to use them as frisbees.
Oh jeez.
So I've got like a rack system. I think I'm gonna put on this back wall or something, but. Yeah, I got a ton of steel books. I like steel books because there's usually a different cover to them. But shout out to Sony, since we're talking their E3. They're reversible game covers.
Well, it's like even they knew that Detroit had an awful cover.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry. People say it's just a cover. No, it's the worst cover I've ever seen. Though it's pretty awful.
Detroit?
Yeah.
Yes, it's awful.
Really?
Yes.
The Detroit cover is basically this.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, that cover doesn't really.
Well, you know how those custom consoles that they put out, those are pretty creative, right? Right?
Jared, we're praising them for the things they're doing right.
No, the flip insert cover to Detroit is much better than the actual cover itself.
Yep.
I had no idea.
No steelbook on that. No steelbook on that, unfortunately.
Which kind of surprised me, being honest. I feel like you could do a really cool cyberpunk design steelbook with like blue wires. I
might be wrong. I don't think Quantic Dreams has ever done a collector's edition or a steelbook on any of their games.
Did they not do a physical one for Detroit?
A physical
collector's edition.
No, they didn't.
Really?
Just standard. Yeah, I think Nick's right. I don't think they've ever done a collector's edition.
That's really surprising because that would fly off the shelves.
Depending on what it was, it would be hard for them to with Detroit, with like the subject matter and everything else. It'd be hard for them to pick a specific thing. And I kind of agree with when you do a new IP, you kind of don't want to do a collector's edition right off the hop. Maybe I'm weird, but I always find, well, like maybe it comes off as cocky to me when there's when you do a collector's edition for your new IP. It's like, hey, drop $199 on this unproven game. It'll be a good time. My Lawbreakers collector's edition is sitting in my closet mocking me right now.
Okay. I was about to disagree with you, but then I realized you have very good reason to have been burned, so I'm not gonna take that.
Duke Nukem Forever, Lawbreakers, and there's a third one. I'd have to look in my closet. There's another one I got burned on, but that Duke Nukem statue that's awesome. I'll never get mad at that thing. I look at it every time I wake up. It's on my dresser. It reminds me of the disappointment I've had in my life.
The one collector's edition I've always missed out and kind of regretted not getting was this Dark Souls 3 one with the statue.
Which one?
The Dark Souls 3 one with the...
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty nice. I have that one. Yeah, it's really nice.
I regret the Witcher 3 one.
Dude, yeah, that one. No joke, that one is one of the most limited I'm aware of. Like just the statue goes for $500-$600 on eBay. Wow, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The only collector's edition that I ever really super needed, but I was not willing to fork out the money for, was I think it was the Shadow of War collector's edition with it's like a 16-inch dragon.
Yeah, I wanted that, but I couldn't shell out that kind of cash for it.
It was $700. I went to my GameStop. I'm like, how much? They're like $769. I'm like,
yeah.
And then they're like loot boxes on top of that. I'm like,
but then there are ones that are like attached to games that aren't so good, but the collector's edition statue still is really, really cool.
I actually have the collector's edition for Strange Brigade ordered because it's only like $90. The game looks great, and the collector's edition is actually really cool.
Like which one, Eric? What were you saying?
Like for Recore.
Yes, that was the one that came to mind for me as well. That is a really cool statue. Actually. Really
cool statue, and and it's just I mean that happens too.
Another good collector's edition that I've got coming in soon is Sonic Mania.
Oh, nice.
That one looks really, really good. It's got like a little Sonic on the Sega Genesis that makes the sounds and all that.
I have that one. That one, you know what's funny? That one was not very expensive for how big it is. It's big actually. I don't know if you're aware how big it is.
No, I have no idea. My GameStop was blowing them out. I paid $49 for the collector's edition.
No, that's what it was. That's what it was on Amazon Prime when it first launched.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So, it stands about probably like 8 inches tall.
Oh, I was thinking it was like a little thing.
No, it's a big box.
The statue that came from the collector's edition I got when BioShock 2 released. I have the Big Daddy statue.
Yeah, because the Genesis that it sits on is like true to scale.
Oh,
the base.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sonic's a big boy.
All right. Okay. So I've successfully sidetracked our whole damn podcast.
Nah, that's what's great about it. That's why people tune in, dude.
That's gaming talk, man.
Mm-hmm. We need to do a whole episode on collector's editions.
Hey, we could totally do that, man.
Yeah, we absolutely could. We'll add it to the list. We got that one. Then we've got one for absurd. Absurd achievements as well. That's another one. We got.
Yeah.
Oh, you know which one I want? I think B Money has it. He has the Titanfall 2 with the
the helm.
Oh, that helmet. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
No, the actual with the actual Titan.
Oh.
That lights up. And, that comes.
I almost forgot. I forgot that thing existed.
Yeah. I think B told me he ordered that. He has it.
That thing's huge, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's big.
It's badass. Oh, I think that thing's awesome.
Man, those things. That's.
I wonder what that's going for now.
Oh, probably expensive.
I will do a quick Amazon search while we go to the next topic. Actually.
All right.
What's the next topic?
PlayStation and E3.
Yes.
So we've talked about Spider-Man. We've talked about Ghost of Tsushima.
The Last of Us 2. Let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really seen any gameplay. We saw an incredible emotional kind of trailer that really gripped the audience.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. What really impressed me about that specific trailer, I think, was when it was either Neil Druckmann or someone else. They kind of went into how much they changed their game engine to make it better, to make it stronger, make it more powerful, to up the ante for this game specifically because they want to go all out for it. So I'm really curious what we're gonna see at E3. I would love to see real, true gameplay, which I think we will. And once we do, I don't know. Their lineup is just fantastic that they have right now. They have really good games in the magazine, I guess you could say, that they're ready to fire out at the fans, and all we have to do is just wait because it's going to come. And the quality is going to be there. So
someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Neil Druckmann already said we absolutely will get gameplay at E3.
I thought we were getting gameplay.
Sure. I'm personally not sure.
Yeah, I thought so. So, yeah.
I'd love to.
I'm sure it's not going to be a finalized gameplay slice. I mean, but these things rarely are. But it'll be interesting. Now, here's the question, guys. We know how The Last of Us plays. All right, you got that crafting, you got the slow survival sequences, the long periods of. It's actually one of the few complaints the game got in terms of its pacing, where there's long periods of time where it's just you and Ellie walking along, and then all of a sudden you're thrown into a fight with the clickers or human bandits or whatever. How do they demo this game? How do you show off The Last of Us Part 2 and impress people without relying on something that we've already seen from the first game? How do we do that?
You gotta add, I think, a little bit more substance to the game itself, because you can kind of scavenge around for items and stuff like that. You gotta sneak around and kind of do these levels and such like that. But I think I'm not sure what they should implement, but they kind of need to add a little bit more fluff to the game, so to speak. Maybe they need to add some kind of side objectives or some side stories, or like a throwback mission to say like something happened during the first game where you kind of have a throwback vision going back to it, sort of thing. And I don't know, they just, in comparison to the first one, I hope the second one has just a little bit more, because that pacing definitely was off a little bit.
Okay, Eric, so what about you? Like, I'm specific. I'm not so much talking about the game being different from the first one. I'm talking about like, how did they demo it, if they're going to be showing off gameplay?
Honestly, I think you need to just take it like old school, almost like the dynamic slice.
Okay.
You do the stage demo.
Okay.
Like you're playing through that segment, just to give an idea of, if you've changed some things where combat's more visceral, because this game's supposed to be more about, the theme of it is supposed to be more about hate, right?
Right. Supposedly it's going to be way darker.
Right.
Which, that's an accomplishment if it is, because holy crap.
I mean, yeah.
The first one was not a romp through the daisies.
No.
Right. But there was still like an innocence about it.
Right. There was still this tiny sliver of hope with Ellie all throughout. And
if the indication on her looking weathered in that first reveal that we got, some things have gone down.
I would definitely not expect this to be a happy story in any way, shape, form, or result.
What I'm thinking they're going with this one is, I'm not sure how many people played them because they're not the best Telltale games. But if you look at Clementine from season 1 to season 2, and then the start of season 3, I think you're going to see a character growth similar to that.
Yes, I haven't done season 3 yet, but the innocence was already going away in season 2.
Yeah, you know what I mean? You start losing it. I think we're definitely going to see the innocence lost. It's going to be a lot more grimy. Is that the word I'm looking? It's going to be dark. Now, it should be interesting to see if it's as well received as the last one, if they go too dark with it. Like, where's the line? Like, me personally, I like all branches of entertainment. If they go super dark with this, I'm there for it. I'm there for the story.
Same. I mean,
being super dark doesn't deter me. It kind of makes me want to play it a little bit more, actually.
Yeah, and I like grittier stories as long as there's depth to the story and justification for the brutality of the violence, if that makes any sense. Like, senseless, mindless violence on violence only works if you're Doom. But I feel like with this game I'm not sure if it'll be as critically received. I feel like maybe some critics aren't going to be able to stomach it as well, but I feel like this may become the fan favorite of the series, because my biggest problem with the original was story pacing. That's my general problem with Naughty Dog games in general, is there's like really, really, really good bits of the game, and then there's other parts where it just kind of feels like you're slogging along. And if they can fix that, and Uncharted 4 suffered that at the start of the game and then progressed along. And like the last half of that game I love that game. The last half was amazing. I have to play Lost Legacy still. But if they can take what they learned from the last half of Uncharted 4, like, it doesn't need to be fast-paced action all the time, but the character build-up has to have meaning. It has to have a purpose to the story that you're telling.
Absolutely. But I also feel like the pacing, they have an advantage here in that Joel and Ellie are established characters. You know what I'm saying? They don't need to establish. I mean, don't get me wrong. They've probably gone through some changes. They both look like they're, what, 3, 4, 5 years older?
I'm gonna say at least 5 because Ellie seems to have aged.
Yeah, Ellie looks like a young woman now, and
yeah, she
Joel's
looks like she's like 18, 19 probably.
Yeah, so don't get me wrong. I'm saying that to say some time has gone on, some changes have no doubt happened. But in the first game, they had to sell us on Joel and Ellie. This time around, they don't have to do that. It's like, okay, what are they into? What are they getting into? What is life throwing their way now? So as a result, the pacing should benefit from that.
So in similar fashion to how Uncharted 1, the pacing was because they're trying to get you into the character, whereas Uncharted 2 was amazing front to back.
Yeah, there's less character development to the main character themselves because you kind of already know who they are. They can focus more so on side characters and that sort of thing to build more relationships.
Yeah, and I think Last of Us 2, it's a slam dunk. That's an amazing team they've got, Naughty Dog. I know I'm overly critical of Naughty Dog because I'm not a huge fan of the third-party cover system games. Like, I'm not a huge Gears fan. I'm not a huge... Like, I play them. I enjoy them for what they are, but it's not my favorite type of game to play, but suits the type of story and everything they're telling. So I'm there day one for The Last of Us Part 2. I'm there to see what's next. I am not there for the next 2-year hype cycle that's going to come with this game.
Well, that actually leads into the next question that I was going to ask. When do we think this game's coming out?
Well, see, they have this weird position because I was originally when I talked about this, I think I talked about this in one of our first podcast episodes about it landing spring, summer 2019. But now with Days Gone being pushed back, that kind of like I feel like you can't release those games side by side.
I was going to say late 2019, probably the holiday season.
You think
November?
Okay, all right. That's bold.
I've seen analysts say it before. I've seen Colin Moriarty say it. I think I saw Greg Miller say it at one point too, that The Last of Us Part 2 should not fall in holiday season because it is a good game. It's critically acclaimed. A lot of people know what it is, but does not have the sales power of larger... Like, if you put it up against huge multi-plat games, like The Last of Us is one of the biggest PlayStation franchises out there.
Yeah.
But typically releasing your exclusives in the holiday season has been suicide for the most part. And
I think it'd be a little bit dependent on what is releasing that.
Well, we'd have to start speculating what's going to land fall 2019, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And that's too up in the air. But I feel like Naughty Dog seems to favor summer release dates. They seem to really enjoy releasing things in spring, summer, and it just sucks, but it's the way the industry seems to be is that as soon as holiday season rolls around, unless you are like the end-all and be-all franchise and you have to be multi-plat, it seems like you cannot release exclusives after – Sam might not back me up on this one, but I'm going to say after like the first week of October, you might as well just not think about it.
Yeah, I mean, historically speaking, if your name isn't Mario or Halo, you really don't have any business coming out after that period of time. That's just going off of the sales number.
Bethesda and Ubisoft, not gonna lie, those two studios.
You're also talking, but that's also talking about third party with major IPs, right? Like I've no doubt if Bethesda had Elder Scrolls 6 in their back pocket, they'd dump that the same week as Pokemon. They wouldn't care.
Yeah, we're talking exclusives here. I'm saying if you're an exclusive and your name isn't Mario or Halo, you have no business coming out.
Yeah.
And
I feel like Last of Us Part 2, I'll give my take on this really quick, and then I want to hear from Eric. Last of Us Part 2 is like God of War in that I think it could have come out in the fall. I think God of War could have come out last fall if it was ready, and it would have done okay. But it wouldn't have gotten this crazy 5 million in 1 month, 3.1 million in 2 days. You know, it wouldn't have done those insane numbers. It simply wouldn't have. I feel like Last of Us Part 2 will be the same thing. Can they put out holiday next year? Sure. It would probably be okay as well. But I feel like it's going to be better for them to just grit their teeth, and wait it out until early 2020.
That's
and I know a lot of people don't like it. I know a lot of people think it's a deadlock for 2019, but I'm not so convinced. Sorry, Eric, you can go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was going to ask that before you guys kind of got into that. I was going to say, is there a possibility this game is not even coming 2019? It could still be 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely think it could be. And here's why I don't think it would hurt that much is because you have probably 2-3 other games, and we don't even know what else they may have that can come throughout the year.
Right, exactly. And we already talked about how, we think Days Gone and Ghost of Tsushima are pretty much deadlocks for 2019. Right. I think they are. And so, look, let's just be honest here. I don't want to derail this with a conversation about Dreams, but I'm just going to put it out there. Dreams is rapidly running out of time to come out in 2018. I think that thing is 2019. Okay? I think it has 2019 written all over it. People can disagree. It is what it is. We'll see what happens come E3. So if you've got Dreams, Ghost of Tsushima, and Days Gone in 2019, plus any smaller games like Concrete Genie or Indies or whatever, I don't think you need Last of Us Part 2 to come out in 2019. Give them all the time in the world. Let it close out the PS4 the way the first one closed out the PS3.
It would almost be poetic to do that.
It would be. Mm-hmm. It would be. Absolutely. Since every analyst worth their salt seems to think the PS5, the next gen in general, is coming 2020. It makes sense to me.
Well, and so Sony has proven before they're not scared to drop big titles before the generation flip, like God of War Ascension, The Last of Us, the original. There's another big game too. There's another game too that all launched like literally months before the PS4 dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think, given the trend, I think Sony and I think Microsoft as well, they're just going to avoid fall and holiday now. I feel like they've realized that that's where your third-party marketing deals go. Yeah. And then you sell your first-party software through the spring and summer. Because let's face it, this year has just been bang, 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 bang.
So
bang.
Good. It's been consistent.
Because like literally, when Sony's dropping something, Microsoft's dropping something the month after. Third parties are dropping stuff in at weird slots. Indie studios have been pounding out games. It's been an insane year in just the sheer amount of games. And with the success that Sony saw in God of War, that release date was perfect because there wasn't anything hugely major that Sony wasn't releasing themselves. Like Yakuza 6 came out, but it's not on the same, as good of a game as it is, it's not on the same level of hype that God of War was, at least in North America.
No, it's gaining traction, but no, it's not.
Yeah, it's not Kratos. Okay, right. We'll get there. The Yakuza greatness will be recognized. But damn it, Jared derailed me with the boy. Now I'm just thinking of all the memes in my head now.
Yes. Well, you recover from boy memes and you get those out of your head. I guess at this point we got to move on to the final of the big four, because they've said that they're going to have 4 deep dives. They went ahead and let us know their conference. We talked about Spider-Man. We talked about Ghost of Tsushima. We talked about Last of Us Part 2. Is everyone done with Last of Us Part 2? Anything else you want to throw out there?
Nope.
Okay, I actually have one more thing I wanted to throw out there. Do you think we're going to see any infected animals this time around?
Yes.
I hope so.
I hope so, because you guys know that there were supposed to be infected tigers in the first one, right?
What?
Yes. It was cut because they couldn't get the AI working, and the cell processor was a piece of garbage, and it was just too processor intensive. But during the zoo sequence, towards the end of the game, when you pet the giraffes, you can have that heartwarming moment. Mm-hmm. It's right before you get to the fireflies. There was supposed to be a pair of infected tigers stalking you through the city. It makes me mad that we didn't actually get that.
I 100% believe there will be infected animals, because I vaguely remember months ago Druckmann posting videos of like various animals in motion capture suits. Like there was dogs and everything else. So I, without a doubt in my mind, believe that there will definitely be some form of infected animals, even if it's just infected dogs. Basically, to keep me happy with The Last of Us Part 2, keep a good gripping story throughout, improve on the gameplay, the mechanics you already had. I love the crafting, I love the stealth mechanics. Build on those.
Yes, agreed.
Wholeheartedly agree.
One thing that would be really cool would be whistling mechanics and being able to like tap walls or something as stealth mechanics. It's something not a lot of developers do, but if you have stealth mechanics, like instead of having to like throw stuff or anything else, like knock on a side wall and then dart away would be a really cool mechanic. Just small little things like that, and more enemy variety. And I'm sold. I'm already sold. Who the hell am I kidding? I'm gonna buy this game day one anyway.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been sold like right off the bat when they first saw it, but I kind of don't blame them. I really don't. The first one was leaves such an impression on you after you finish playing it that you want to have some more, right? It's kind of the same with God of War and other high quality games.
Yeah, for sure.
More.
So this leads to my favorite point of conversation, because I get to preach that Kojima gospel now.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Why does everyone say uh-oh? Everyone knows.
How's that moss looking?
Beautiful.
It's moss.
Crickets everywhere.
It is in fact moss.
I am.
If Kojima's gonna give you moss, you better believe it's gonna be.
If anyone
ever,
people could call me an Xbox fanboy. People could call me a PlayStation fanboy. But the real fanboy I'm a Metal Gear Solid fanboy. 100%. I've played pretty much every Metal Gear Solid game at least 2 to 3 times, at least, with the exception of Phantom Pain. We don't talk about Phantom Pain. We don't talk about it. And we don't talk about
Metal Gear. A Metal Gear experiment. That's how I look at it.
Oh man. I can always have to choose Splinter Cell over Metal Gear.
Well, see, I just liked stealth games in general. I alternated between Splinter Cell, Hitman, and Metal Gear Solid, Hitman. Yeah, that was it. I swore there was a fourth one in there. I just had I'm pretty sure I just had like half a stroke on air there for a second. Holy.
You okay, dude?
Damn it.
Oh, wow. I just sat there. I was like, there's another game. But yeah, no. Metal Gear Solid's always been one of my favorite franchises. It's a little convoluted sometimes in its storytelling.
What I don't get is how can you stealth around in a cardboard box?
Okay,
if I look at a cardboard box and I see it move, I'm going to shoot it.
Okay, Death Stranding. Death Stranding.
Yeah, please don't start on cardboard boxes, or else I will sneak into the next podcast in a cardboard box. Okay. Death Stranding. So this is Kojima Unleashed. This is unlimited budget, what he wants to make. And the heartbreaking thing for me is part of me wishes none of this had ever happened. And we could just rewind to where PT was a thing. And we were going to get that really good Silent Hill experience that we all deserved.
Yeah. Man. Just pour one out for Silent Hills.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, the writing in that, like, Kojima, like, I 100% believe Kojima is a creative genius, but he needs guidance when it comes to how to craft his vision. And Konami did a fairly decent job of keeping him in a box, but still moving forward in the direction that he wanted to go. Mm-hmm. And between him, Guillermo del Toro, and Norman Reedus, I think that could have been an absolutely amazing Silent Hills game. And that's a franchise that it needs a Resident Evil 7 to bring it back.
It does. I honestly, I agree with you. I have so many horrific memories from growing up of playing the original Silent Hill games and just freaking out at certain situations.
I remember playing Silent Hill, and my sister was playing Resident Evil at the time. My sister was like 10 years older than me. She's like, "Oh, Resident Evil's so scary." I'm like, "You should try Silent Hill." Like, I never found the Resident Evil games insanely scary, except for the dog through the window, the like cliche jump scare. That scared me as a child. But like Silent Hill was always the epitome of that. And I'm hoping to see some of that energy that they had, since it's pretty much the same people being channeled in Death Stranding. But as it sits right now, we have a couple of convoluted trailers. In-engine trailers, I believe. They're not CGI. They're in-engine.
Yes, they're in-engine.
They're in Decima Engine, I believe. and we have no plot details. No, we don't even know what kind of game this is. We don't know if it's a horror game, if it's going to be a third-person shooter. We don't know if it's going to be a puzzle platformer. Who knows? It could be like a surgeon simulator game where you have to get the baby out of your throat.
That's why you said a puzzle platformer, because you all this time, all the time money he's making a puzzle platformer.
Hey,
he played us like a fiddle.
Not again. Not again.
Well,
he was like, I want to introduce you to the newest Battle Royale game.
Oh no. Oh no. He has, you know what? Oh no. He has talked about how most games use sticks and he wants to use strings. And I love people's blank expressions on their faces whenever he starts talking. Okay, I have a lot to say about this in terms of the plot, how I think people are intentionally confiscating some things and being confused when they really shouldn't be. And I think the writing is on the wall. Does anyone want me to go last or first here?
No,
you can go first, because I don't think, no offense to Eric or Jared, I don't think a lot of us have a damn clue about this game.
Okay, so, all right. So we got to analyze the words Death Stranding themselves, right? And I'm only going from the second trailer onwards, because the first trailer was a concept trailer that wasn't even done in Decima. It was actually done in the engine Sucker Punch uses, because that's the one that Kojima was looking at first. This is before he had the studio. I'm talking about the 2016 reveal.
Yeah.
So let's dive into what a Death Stranding refers to. It's literally when you have a tsunami come through. We've all seen photos or video clips of what happens there. You have all this sea life, like whales, deep sea creatures, things like that, that lie in the wreckage and they can't move. They're trapped on the beach. So the name of this game is Death Stranding. Now, in the game, well, not the game, but in the most recent trailer we saw at the Game Awards and then at PSX the very next day for some reason, what do we see? We see mysterious creatures. We see an altered environment. Everything is weird. No one knows what's going on. And then at the very end, amidst the narration, we see this gigantic monster. You know, it looks like a human being, but it doesn't have a face, and it has tentacles and these things coming off of it. It's weird.
Kojima.
All right. And yeah, it's Kojima. And so amidst this, we have Norman Reedus' voice narrating, telling us that, you know, first there was the first explosion, the Big Bang, which gave form to life and the heavens and the earth and all that. And then he said, then came the next explosion, and this time nothing survived. So clearly an event happens in the world, in the universe, that is on par with the Big Bang. Now, how can something be on par with the creation of life itself and the formation of the stars and the universe? Well, it does work if you take it to be a Lovecraftian influence of something from another dimension being stranded, literally a Death Stranding, trapped on the earth, and is altering the environment, destroying humanity and everything else while reforming the ecosystem. This explains the baby in the tank. Now, bear with me here, because everyone else has already been exposed to it. We see them in survival suits to try and fend off the weird effects or whatever these creatures are that come with this stranded eldritch being. But the baby, it's a clean human being. It hasn't been affected by the environment, so it's going to be held in a tank to keep it safe, to keep it sealed off from the altering, poisoning ecosystem.
Damn.
All right, then.
See, it makes perfect sense.
Pretty feasible. Honestly, it does. It makes sense. It sounds very feasible. And that was actually a really good job connecting the dots there.
I could see Kojima being in a meeting with Sam, like writing notes down. Oh, that's a really good idea. None of that's going to happen, but that's a really good idea.
Well, do you actually know that Sam is actually Hideo Kojima in disguise?
That's the ultimate plot twist. No.
That would be a Kojima plot twist, though.
It would be. It would be. Regardless of whether my crazed, mad eye, red string, and markers on the wall, clipping the newspapers together, whether any of that it works or it doesn't, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing just what the hell this is.
Yeah.
Me too. I think you're definitely not alone in where everybody's going, what the hell is going on? Just tell us already.
I will say this, though. I think we have to get gameplay this E3.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like if we get yet another weird trailer, it would sort of be dragging things out a bit.
That's just how I feel. It plays. I want to see how it goes. I just like, even if it's like 5 to 10 seconds of like controller interaction or whatever, and that's it. That's all you get. I'll be happy.
That's all I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Eric, you got anything you want to go in on this now? Because you've been kind of quiet on it for the most part.
No, you summed up what could be the plot line pretty well. I want to see gameplay on it. And like you guys said, I'm with Nick. I'm like a Metal Gear stan myself. I'm a big fan of Kojima. I like his weirdness. I like his craziness. I'm very intrigued to see what his first Unleashed game could be since he got out of the box at Konami.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's pretty much where I'm at.
Yeah, that creative freedom can either be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you do it, right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, Cliff Bleszinski, he had creative freedom and his didn't turn out so well. But there's other factors in that too.
Yeah. There's a lot of different factors that went into that, went to Lawbreakers. So when do we think this thing's coming out?
That's a next gen.
We're in 20.
This is next
nowhere before 2020.
Yeah, nowhere. I don't think anything before 2020 is laughable, in my opinion.
Well,
we'll probably cap off the end of this generation into the next console, or it'll be like how The Last of Us was for PS3 and PS4. It'll kind of cross over.
Yeah.
Hold on. There's one pertinent.
What's going on?
Oh.
I'm gonna say.
That's his brain, man.
I'm gonna say it's good. I'm gonna say 2020 at the earliest, 2021 at the absolute latest.
Yeah.
Because Metal Gear Solid 5 took them 5 years, and that wasn't even fully completed. So, and he's working on his own timeline. I know we all know that Sony sent Guerrilla Game Studios to give him a hand, so obviously they want it to be out faster.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to tell with Death Stranding. This E3 will be very telling to where they are in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a huge part of it is we don't know where this game's at. Like, have they been feeding us these in-engine trailers so they can absolutely bombshell us with gameplay in a release window, or there's so many factors to it. I realistically, I don't see this game coming 2019. If it comes out 2019, I will be more than happy to be wrong about it.
Sure, absolutely. But I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening. I don't
see it being 2019 at all.
I don't see a world where Sony can drop Days Gone, The Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding, more, and Ghost of Tsushima all in 1 year.
Well, not only that, but think about it. He was shopping around for an engine for the longest time. Kojima Productions as a studio only really got formed and they finished hiring in early 2017. So they haven't been making this game for 2 years yet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I definitely
think too. The good thing is that they have the engine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure.
And they didn't have to start on an engine, so that's definitely a good thing, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll be honest with you guys. I can even see this being sort of like a Gran Turismo 6 event where it gets released on the PS4 even a couple of months after the PS5 has come out. Just being honest with you, in 2021 or something like that. Maybe even or a cross-gen game where it comes out on PS4 and PS5 at the same time.
Kind of like what Atlas did with Persona 5 because it took them so long to get it out. That was originally supposed to be a PS3 title, so they launched it on PS3 and PS4. Exactly. I can totally see it being something like that. To be brutally honest, I think Death Stranding's biggest problem right now is I think it was announced way too early. I think Sony should have come out on stage and been like, hey, this is Hideo Kojima. He works for us now. He's working on his own game.
Back off.
Off my desk. They could have been like, hey, this is Kojima. He's going to be working on his own project that we are funding and we're giving him 100% creative freedom for. And we're very excited to see what he can bring to the table and then get him situated, get him studio set up, get him an engine, get him all set up and cushy, not do a CGI or a trailer and an engine the game's not going to be in for E3, and then the next year it's a different engine. And there was just a couple of missteps on how they handled that. I feel like Death Stranding didn't need to be announced in 2016. I feel like they could have announced it in 2017 as a concept piece and then moved it forward that way. But we've talked before about how first-party publishers have to give roadmaps and have to show things a little bit more advanced than third-party publishers need to. So either way, I'm excited to see what Kojima brings to the table because, like I said, Silent Hills was looking amazing. But all things come to pass. I'll add it to the long list of games that didn't happen that I wanted to happen.
Blue Point, we're looking at you, man. I know you're working on one right now, but
if it's Silent Hills, I will lose my mind. But I know it's not.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? I've seen people talking about, oh, maybe we'll see Blue Point's next project. As much as I want to see it, Shadow of the Colossus came out in February. It's way too early.
It's way too early because people don't seem to understand how much effort Blue Point took to remake Shadow of the Colossus.
Right. I mean, they do it right.
Yeah.
People don't seem to understand that this isn't just mesh it into 60 FPS 1080 and push it out. That's why these games are so well done, is because they're rebuilt from the ground up.
Yeah, this was a complete graphical overhaul. This isn't like let's say a Dark Souls Remastered, for example. I'm playing that a lot recently, and that's basically just a original game, but looks a little bit better and way more optimized for the consoles this gen. That's all it is. In comparison to Blue Point, Shadow of the Colossus, where it's just, you can tell looking at it from the ground up, it is completely different from what the original game was.
Yeah. And now, because Blue Point's going to be in the conversation, every E3 leak list, I put that in massive quotations, has a variety of different games from, I've seen, let me pull up my list here. Let's see, we've got Blue Point doing Metal Gear Solid 1. They've got, in this one list, they have Death Stranding. Kojima plays Death Stranding. And then they've got Konami joining the stage right afterwards. I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I could see that. You know, Kojima's walking off stage, Konami's coming on stage. Yeah, I see that going well. We've seen Metal Gear Solid 1. I have seen people say Silent Hills. I've seen people say SOCOM. I've seen there's any old classic title that people really love. They want Blue Point to do, which I don't blame anyone. I want
Twisted Metal.
Yeah, Twisted Metal. Like I've got a 10-game list of games I want them to remake from the ground up. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna ask you guys, because we can't really predict if Blue Point's gonna be there or not. So what is one game you would like to see Blue Point remake from the ground up? We'll start with Sam.
Me, just one? Jeez. Okay, so there's a ton of games I'd love to see them remake. But can I say two? Sure. Okay. So the first one I would love to see is I'd love to see what they could do with Knights of the Old Republic, because that is an incredible story with incredible characters and some of BioWare's best, most clever, most interesting, most heartwarming writing trapped in a game that the mechanics haven't really aged that well. So I would love to see them completely unshackle it and transform it into a modern day game. Beyond that, assuming that couldn't happen, I would say Demon's Souls. It's the only Souls game that we can't take with us moving forward due to being shackled to the PS3, and I'd like to see it unshackled.
That was one of the rumors. I forgot. I knew I was missing a game that was rumoured for a Blue Point remaster, but that's like the most prominent one that people have been asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, what about you?
Honestly, mine would be Jedi Knight Dark Forces. Do you guys not remember that game at all?
Yeah, I do.
I remember it.
It's way back in the day, old school FPS kind of walk around Star Wars game. Like I'm almost on the same level as like original Doom sort of thing. But I think if that was remade on Blue Hole level, but with current day technology, it'd be fantastic. That'd be one of the best FPS games out there, because I think a true to heart FPS Star Wars game, or really any good Star Wars game, could sell well.
Yeah, I if ground up remake Dark Forces, that's still the best Star Wars game that was ever made.
Oh yeah.
Well, first person. The original Battlefront, the original two Battlefronts on PS2 were
fantastic.
I think they were on PS2. I played them on PC, so I might be wrong on that.
So yeah, Jedi Dark Forces, and if I had to do a second one, kind of like what Sam did, it'd be Jedi Knight Academy. That's the other one.
Okay, yeah, those are classics. There's some really good LucasArts.
There are. They put
games
out
back
really good games back in the day.
Yeah, they were really good. Eric, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm gonna be like real basic and say I really would like to see them do Metal Gear, the Metal Gear Solid.
Yep. Couldn't go wrong there either.
Yeah. Because I mean, that story was so good. That game is so good. The mechanics were good for the time, but to see that game rebuilt from the ground up with like today's graphics and everything else.
Well, it's such a fan favorite too, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I'd love to see what I'd really love them to do is just take Metal Gear Solid 1 and somehow, like, I'm not a games developer. I don't know how you do this. I just want them to ram it into the Fox engine that they had for Metal Gear Solid 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Content-wise, I wasn't a huge fan of Metal Gear Solid 5's, like, story per se, but the gameplay and that engine, just the whole feel of it was amazing. I sat there and I want every Metal Gear game remade in this engine.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the closest we got to it was like Twin Snakes on GameCube, like something of a rebuilt remake. But that was, whatever. But it's like Sam was saying, it's kind of trapped.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
there's a lot of games back then. There's a lot of games that are trapped back on last generation, and like that's what kind of sucks is like there's some games that you can find on PC that were trapped on older consoles, but things like Metal Gear that they weren't on PC, right? So you can't go back and play them. Like I picked up Dark Forces, which is a DOS game. I bought that on Steam this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Metal Gear Solid is on PC.
Is Metal Gear Solid's on PC?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to find a complete like edition of it, but yeah, it's on PC.
I know what I'm doing.
At least I don't think it's easy to find. It might be. I don't know about what you would pay if you wanted one like brand new in box. So.
I was more hoping along the lines of being able to find it digitally on Steam. Once you start talking physical copy PC games, you start talking about some money.
Yeah, I don't
actually. Metal Gear Solid 1, due to the time frame, I'm pretty sure that'd be floppy disk too. Would that be CD? No,
it would be CD.
It would be CD. Yeah, I was trying to do time period.
I was gonna say,
I don't know if it's available digital anywhere.
These are things that I will have to find out.
Yeah.
I'm alone. I want Twisted Metal remade from the ground up. David Jaffe's not doing anything else. He can consult on it. Just remake Twisted Metal. Give me a Twisted Metal game, damn it.
Has he been humbled enough to want to come back and do that?
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's like my most heartbreaking thing is I love Twisted Metal. That was one of the reasons I bought a PlayStation was because I went to a friend's house and played that. And then I bought a PlayStation with like money I saved up all summer from cutting lawns. And then my mom told me I couldn't buy Twisted Metal. So that was a disappointment and a half. But so we're going to go through to keep things rolling because third-party predictions are kind of iffy on what's going to be on Sony's stage, and try and guess marketing deals isn't really a fun thing to do. So I got a couple of these E3 leak lists. I figured we'd go through these and we'd either get a laugh at them or we might find some legitimacy in them. So this is the first one. Ed, feel free to laugh at any point. Okay, so it kicks off with a PlayStation Games mashup trailer, and PlayStation never started a conference with a mashup trailer. Second is Days Gone launch trailer. Then that's followed by
trailer. Okay.
Launch trailer. Game's coming out in 2019, but 2018 we're getting a launch trailer.
Really? It's 2019? Oh man, that was quick.
It's like someone on this podcast predicted that too. The Last of Us Part 2 gameplay, which perfectly reasonable. Splinter Cell Apocalypse trailer.
Nope. Honestly, sorry, but if anything Splinter Cell wise is to be shown, it's going to be on the Xbox stage.
Or the Ubisoft one. Yeah.
Or the Ubisoft, that's true. But I think the gameplay reveal or whatever big reveal will be on the Xbox stage, but then the more technical side will be more
on the Ubisoft.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see where Splinter Cell has a long history with Xbox. Michael Ironside was on Inside Xbox. You can kind of play connect the dots with that.
Oh no! Splinter Cell would definitely be marketed and partnered with Xbox.
If there is a marketing partner for it, it'll be on Xbox stage. You won't see Splinter Cell on Sony's stage, which it is what it is. You'll be able to buy it on PlayStation. Who cares which stage it's on?
Yeah. Oh,
I
people
really
do for some reason, but
A shocking amount of people really do. So
well, I don't.
He
care,
says
but-
hypocritically, knowing he'll stand up and cheer when Cyberpunk is shown at Microsoft stage.
We're not even talking about Cyberpunk with you, okay? We can't do this. So Splinter Cell Apocalypse, the name seems a little funky. I'm not down with the name. If that's what it's called, whatever, I'll still buy it. I don't care. Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry 5 gameplay trailer. That's realistic. Capcom's got a pretty good relationship with Sony.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be with Sony.
That's a pretty no-brainer. Now, do you guys think it'll be a timed exclusive or launching on both platforms?
It'll be a timed exclusive.
I see that. I don't know. I honestly think it'll be. I think it'll launch simultaneous.
I think it's going to launch simultaneous. I will say this. Reset Era has verified a couple of people claiming to have inside information that's timed exclusive. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it. I do think it'll launch simultaneously.
I think I don't know. I don't see Capcom because they're on such an upswing. I just don't see them limiting their market. Like I know they sell proportionally more on the PlayStation. Like I know, like even with Monster Hunter World, it was like 70% to 80% on PlayStation and like 20 to 30% on Xbox. But in the situation they find themselves where they're on an upswing, do you really want to deny a 20% to 30% customer base for that?
No, you don't. Because, I mean, look at what happened with Street Fighter V. And I know there were other factors. It wasn't just the fact it was console exclusive, but still, it was, and it limited its sales potential.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if you put in exclusivity... Now, if Sony's funding the development or putting money into Devil May Cry at some point, then timed exclusivity for this would be a no-brainer.
Yes.
Could it happen? Maybe. Do I think Capcom's going to do it? I don't think they will, but they've done it before, so it's kind of one of those open air issues. Okay, now into some stuff that we know is coming. Yakuza 2 Kiwami trailer. Do you think they'll waste any time showing this since that's coming out in August?
Probably not.
Have they shown a Yakuza game at E3 before?
No.
No, so I don't think they will. No.
Yeah, if they did, it'd be cool if they did like a little 45-second trailer or something.
I think the only time you'll get a Yakuza thing going on their stage is if there's a new Yakuza game.
Or like a part of a highlight reel sort of thing.
Yeah, sizzle reel.
Other minor games coming out, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I don't think they dedicate any time to Kiwami 2.
Yeah, because we didn't hear with the thing is the reason why we don't necessarily see them at E3 is because most of the time they're already out in Japan by the time they get a release date here. Like I'm pretty sure if Demi's still in the chat, he'll correct me, but Yakuza 6 launched here just before God of War.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost 100% positive it was already out for a year in Japan prior to this. Yakuza games usually take about a year before they hit North America.
That's crazy.
Year to 2 years. Like Yakuza 0, I think, came here in 2017. And I'm pretty sure it was out in Japan in like 2015.
It kind of takes that for like localization and stuff, right?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like localization is a thing with those titles because they are made for a Eastern audience and not Western audience. So to localize that is a process that takes time. So no biggie there. Shenmue 3 gameplay.
Maybe.
Maybe it's part of a sizzle reel.
Yeah, sizzle reel.
Yeah.
Now, this is one that's popped up. This is related to a 4chan leak that got deleted like 4 hours after posting. Play PS2 and PS3 games on PS4 trailer.
Ha!
Honestly, if that was ever a thing, I'm just gonna see it as an extension of PS Now.
Okay, so to sum up how this leak came into being, because I know how this ended up on a list, and this is why I know this list is fabricated. On 4chan, I think last week, a rumor popped up where someone had a screenshot of the PlayStation Store. You know how it's sexualized. It's got VR, and it goes down, down, And at the bottom, they had PS3 classics.
Interesting.
Now, the thing is, PS3 classics could be like the PS2 classics where they sell it to you again.
Mm-hmm.
But people seem to have spun it on this list like you're going to be able to grab your PS2 discs and put it into your PS4. That's just simply not.
All those PS2 discs everyone has like hanging around.
I've got a ton of them, but I'm a nerd, so you can push me down in a locker or whatever.
I got like 2. I got like 4, I think, still.
I think I've got a couple of I've got Grand Theft Auto and a few other ones, like the quote unquote classics, but all my like filler ones have gone the way of the dinosaur. Mm-hmm. But there's so many technical oversights that would have to happen for you to be able to put a PS3 disc into a PS4 and make it work. Because there's a whole architecture change that happened with the PS4 versus the PS3. Like, I'm not a technical wizard by any point of the imagination, but from my understanding, they very much distanced themselves to how the PS3 operated because it was so hard for developers. It was so hard for them to get people interested in developing for it. So I don't see it happening. If they decide to, that's cool. Or if you can buy like remastered 1080p PS3 games, that's cool too. Options are great.
I kind of see that being more of the thing.
Yeah. Like, I don't think
than a BC type situation. I honestly truly believe that there is a BC solution coming, and we just won't see it in the next couple of seasons.
Wait. Let me ask this. Do you think there's a BC solution coming for PS2 and PS3 games, or are you talking about PS4 games?
I'm talking like a little deeper, because I mean, honestly, dude, I truly believe that whatever the PS5 is going to be, it will play PS4 games.
Yeah, it's going to have some sort
I think that's going to happen. Something tells me that they are probably trying to work on, and maybe it's just I'm thinking they'd be silly not to, and I know how competitive Sony can be. And like we talked about, this guy Cadera seems to be a guy, he's a younger guy, kind of comes from where we come from when it comes with gaming and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Likes money.
So, yep.
And seems kind of be that guy that's like, you guys are stupid that you can't change names and you can't do BC. Like, what are we doing? Like, let's figure this out type of thing.
Yeah. Right. It kind of seems like if he'd come in and be like, okay, come on, this has been a meme for a while now. Let's get the ball rolling.
Done. Right. So I would not be surprised if they are working on a solution for past library, excuse me. PS4, I definitely think will be BC with PS5. This thing that maybe could be a possibility would definitely be like a PS3 classics that you can purchase right now type of thing. So, but I do think they probably are. Whether they can do it is a whole different story, but I definitely think they are probably looking into a solution for backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I think that's realistic. I definitely don't think they're going to drop PS2 and PS3 BC this late in the console generation. It seems
that'll be a PS5 thing.
Yeah. No, it's not coming for the PS4.
Like, if they somehow, with whatever wizardry they got going on over at Sony, if they manage to go PS5, you can play your PS4 and your PS3 games. I don't even care if they don't quite make it to PS2. That's not even a big thing. If they get PS4 games BC, awesome. I'm sold. They get PS3 BC games too? Sure. Why not? I'm with it. But if I'm not going to be outraged if I'm like, damn it, I can't play my PS1 games on my PS5. I'm so mad. I can't get fake outraged about that. I can't be bothered.
What's Irrelevant talking about? I just saw a Relevance message in the chat. What's he talking about?
He's talking about how your audio always sounds like you're in a restroom.
Oh, no, it's just the echo in this room. I don't have my old mic is in storage. I have like a headset mic, so Sorry, Irrelevant. Sorry that we're not. I'm not high quality.
Man.
We're working on getting Eric his own studio. We're working on it. Working progress.
Yeah, except for the fact that I don't have the money bank of Sony to just give Eric a studio. So
Now we'll be giving him a small loan of $10 million. But anyways,
Eric,
so moving along, I think we've really covered everything that PlayStation is going to possibly show. Right?
But there's a couple more things on this list that'll make you laugh, though.
Oh.
Come on, Sam. You know you want to have some fun. I'll list off the last two realistic ones, okay? Resident Evil 2 remake gameplay.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. It's Capcom. It'll be there. Kingdom of Hearts 3 launch trailer, which is for me.
That's gonna feel more at home on the Nintendo stage.
What Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah.
Listen.
Like
I absolutely love Kingdom of Hearts, but I feel like a crime if I play it on my Xbox. Like I feel like my PlayStation will look at me strange for the rest of the week.
I've never played the game, so
no. Kingdom Hearts all day would be a PlayStation stage thing.
One of my buddies is
absolutely
really insanely hyped for Kingdom Hearts 3.
I've been hyped for this game since they announced it a decade ago.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be an odd thing. Like anyone who came up playing it on a PlayStation but is now more like on the Xbox platform, they'll be okay. But anyone who's just picking that game up because now it's so weird. It's just going to drop on Xbox.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Because if you have not played those other games, you're going to be lost as hell.
It's so ridiculous because it's not like it even goes Kingdom Hearts 1 and then Kingdom Hearts 2. You can't look up a Wikipedia summary of this thing because you got 1.2 HD remix, 1.8, 0.8, the final prologue remix. It's what the heck is even going on over there?
Yeah, kidding. Me who've never played the games before, I go looking at that, I go, so where am I starting?
Hold on, quick. How many Kingdom of Hearts games? I'm pretty sure there's 7.
Yeah, because you also have the DS games.
DS games, yeah.
The PS wasn't there one on PSP?
I think there was.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Okay. What the hell is Kingdom of Hearts? A Beginner's Guide to Square Enix's masterpiece. Okay, well that's yeah. There was Kingdom of Hearts 1 and 2, both for PlayStation 2 are your main series entrants, but then there are 5 spin-offs. One for Game Boy Advance, one for DS, one for PSP, one coded for mobile phones, and one coded for...
Wasn't it called the one for DS or Game Boy, Dewdrop Fantasy or something like that?
Yeah, then there was one released for the DS called Kingdom Hearts 358 divided by 2. What the heck?
What? Oh, man.
Yeah, Jared. That's what I said. I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube who's probably done a whole synopsis that can get somebody caught up.
Maybe a 2.5 video on it's gonna sound like a conspiracy theory that aliens are on Earth or whatever, being probed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What am I watching again? Oh, right, Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay.
I mean, it's cool that they're gonna include and put it on Xbox. But like I said, there will be fans who have played them.
Yeah.
Right, and that's who it's for. Right, that's who it's for because. I don't know. I still think they should put out at least a couple of those collections, 1.5 and 2.5.
Well, it would be nice.
Yeah. They're already done. They have them.
Mm-hmm. They exist.
The 1.2 and the 2.5 collection has all those mobile, all the side spin-off games on the that remastered one has all the games on one format, so you can play Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. I have. Yeah, I have
all the games, and it's a massive. To beat all those games, you better set aside
a year,
800 hours at least.
Damn, really?
And playing not much else. Dude. It's
Kingdom Hearts 1 when I was a kid. Keep in mind I was a kid, so my gaming skills weren't that great, and I got lost a lot. It took me 140 hours to complete. That game's long as hell.
Yeah. That's wild. That's awesome, actually. That makes me pretty excited to know Kingdom Hearts 3 could be on the potentially on the same level sort of thing. And I go, great, that's another game I'm probably gonna want to sink so many hours into, but not be able to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I've just given up on like trying to beat a ton of games. I'm just focusing on the super long ones. I've played about 8 more hours of The Witcher 3 now, and I'm loving it. So
yeah, I'm about 120 something hours in on The Witcher 3. I got to get back to it.
You're making good progress then. You're making good.
Okay,
progress.
so to wrap this one up, because I know these next 3 will make Sam giggle relentlessly. So Platinum Games is going to take the stage, and they're going to announce Vanquish 2.
Is that you, Marcus Sellers?
It's funny because half this list is sourced as him.
Oh, Lord.
On whose stage?
Sony's stage.
Oh.
Oh.
Like, yeah, I'm just clarifying because, you know.
Right? So Beyond Good and Evil 2 gameplay, that's a Ubisoft game. They'll probably be at Ubisoft stage. I don't see it being at Sony's unless they got marketing deals for it, which would be a weird thing for them to get marketing rights for. I don't know why they would, but so apparently they're not listening to me and Eric. Apparently Bluepoint's going to take the stage and talk about Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake. We're not doing 1, we're not doing 2, we're going to do 3.
Right, the one that's aged really well, and you can get it on the 360 and back compat, and it still plays really well. That's the one to remake.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what? In this world we live in, that's the crazy one because that could happen because it's the easiest one and the one that will print money.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the sad thing I realized even as I was saying that, Eric.
Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is that when you ask someone generally, and like me and Eric are exceptions to this, what Metal Gear Solid game did you play? 9 times out of 10, people will say 3.
Mm-hmm.
If they're a little bit older, like I know I'm a little young to be saying 1 was my first one, but I just wasn't allowed to buy new games when I was growing up, so I had a lot of older games, which wasn't a bad thing, really. But a lot of people grew up on Metal Gear Solid 3. When you talk to gamers that are in their 20s, they remember Metal Gear Solid 3. Some people say 4, which if your first experience at a Metal Gear game was Metal Gear Solid 4, sorry.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, great game, but by that time it was sort of like
It was like I remember I went on a date in high school with this girl, and she was like, "Oh, so you're into video games?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, what kind of video games do you like?" I'm like, "Oh, I like Metal Gear Solid." And she's like, "Oh, I love Metal Gear." I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, I love Metal Gear Revengeance." I'm like, "Dope."
Nano machines, son.
I was like, "This date's over."
But no, it's like, yeah, I mean, you have people who are like Metal Gear fans who go back to the Nintendo games, right? And then most people who became like fans at this point were Metal Gear Solid fans.
Yeah.
And then it kind of went from there. But the one, if you ask anybody which one did you really not like, it was Metal Gear Solid 2 because they played the bait and switch. That's kind of changed now. Like people kind of go back now. They're like, all right, I can deal with it. It's not as bad. I get it. But
yeah, it was just kind of a piss off point at that point, though, because you went in expecting one thing and you got Raiden.
It was the ultimate. It was the ultimate troll. It was the ultimate smoke and mirror. You were like, wait a minute, when's Snake coming back? You know, you're like, no, you're gonna ride with this whiny blonde dude the rest of the game. You're like, what just happened? And you know what you did though? You said, fine. You grumbled the whole way, but you're like, still Metal Gear. I'm still gonna play it.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, I spent $70 on this.
And not to mention the whole God help you if you rented the game because you actually had to have the code on the box for one of the puzzles.
Oh my God. Got that.
That's
yep.
brutal.
Okay, and to wrap up this PlayStation E3 with the spiciest of absolute, so what's going to be at the Sony press conference, according to Marcus Sellers' leaked E3 list.
Oh no!
Final Fantasy VII Remake launch trailer.
7 years out. Tell them stop it.
Stop. Get some help. Stop it.
What are they going to show the trailer from the old studio?
Were they going to show the trailer for the character models they threw out? Like,
I mean,
let's
for
be
God's
real.
sake, they literally admitted that they've thrown out like 90% of the work that was made. And I remember, look, I remember in 2015 people talking about, okay, look, let's keep in mind we're probably not going to see this game until 2017, maybe even 2018. Now, here in 2018, they're admitting they've thrown all the work out. I'm sorry, but look, memes and laugh, but at the end of the day, I'm dead serious when I say I'm not sure this thing will ever come out. Being perfectly honest.
Yeah,
I don't think so either, man.
if you announce something 3 years ago and it's episodic and you don't have the first episode out 3 years later, the whole point of episodic content is to be consistent and get it out there faster. An example, Hitman. They announced that 9 months before it launched, they had the first episode out, and then consistently about every 2 months, it was under a year, they had all content out within a year.
Right.
Because that was their promised roadmap.
And you would think that they would want to like hit that because Hitman came out and proved that episodic works.
Yeah, Hitman, that was literally their best-selling game, IO Interactive's best-selling game, which is why it boggles my mind that Square Enix told IO Interactive to hit the road. Which blows my mind because I was saying they're going, you just had a studio that turned in its most profitable game of like in its history and turned around a franchise that was on a downturn. And you're like, nah, we're going all in with this Final Fantasy VII. I got a good feeling about this one. I don't. You always hear about all these studios going bankrupt and not having enough money to make these games. It makes me wonder how Square Enix can spend 10 years to make one game. It just boggles my mind. Like, how can you afford to make Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3 at the same time?
Right. And then, Final Fantasy 15 and everything else.
Talk about a massive amount of overhead.
I mean, they get a lot of things that are doing well. Hitman did well. You know, the Tomb Raider reboot did well. Rise of the Tomb Raider, shockingly enough, still ended up selling like a few million copies, even though it was a timed console exclusive that launched along Fallout 4. It still did really well.
Well, see, that's the thing with Square Enix is once their games come out, they're good games.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they just take forever. I don't know if it's their process. Maybe they're lax on their deadlines. I've heard they're very hard on their employees, so it kind of contradicts what the outcome is. Maybe they're too hard on their employees and they just have people quitting all the time. I don't pretend to know. That'd be something I'd love to talk to someone at Square Enix and be like, what's your guys' process? Because from the outside, it makes no sense.
Right.
All right. So I guess we'll wrap up our PlayStation E3 show here. I want to thank everyone for coming and hanging out. The chat was pretty damn good tonight.
I'm going to say one thing that I am hyped for. It's not even going into E3. It's going to be out. It's already been announced, but it's kind of like, it was like, just kind of like stealthily talked about. And that was Zone of the Enders, the second runner, is dropping on PlayStation 4.
Oh, yeah. That came out of nowhere, didn't it?
Yeah. Like,
that came completely out.
I'm going to sound like a complete noob here. What is that exactly?
Eric, take it away.
It was based on an anime, but it's a game that actually Hideo Kojima worked on. Zone of the Enders 1 and Zone of the Enders 2. And it's basically like a it's like a mashup of, like, if you want to say, like Metal Gear and Robotech.
Okay.
In a way, type of thing. The demo's out on PS4 right now. You can definitely go check it out. They're remastering it. They're going to it's going to be PSVR as well. Yeah, they're doing. It's not just like a quick port. Like, they're actually putting some work in on it.
Yeah, it's actually going to get VR support.
Yeah, I think it's going to have the VR support and stuff like that. But yeah, it does. Like, when people talk Kojima, they definitely talk Metal Gear, but they don't really talk Zone of the Enders. But both of those games were really good. And the second runner was actually like an elevation over what the first game was. So I would highly recommend check out the demo. It's coming out in September. I actually shared a screenshot of it this morning. It holds up really well. So yeah, something that he got to work on outside of doing Metal Gear.
You know what? I may just check that out because that actually said you pretty much sold me on that. That's actually sounds really good.
Yeah, it's mech combat pretty much.
And we always joke like Kojima's known for Metal Gear, but can anyone guess what his very first video game was?
Oh, I knew. It slipped my mind.
I used to know this.
Yeah.
No idea.
It was a platforming game called Penguin Adventure.
Thank you. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the final boss was another penguin that converted into a fighter jet with missiles out of its back, which I don't know what gets more Kojima than making a cutesy platformer with a missile launching penguin. But yeah,
he's got a mind on him, man.
He is something else, that's for sure.
He's got a mind on him.
So thanks everyone for coming and hanging out for us with our PlayStation E3 predictions. You'll be able to check out, there's going to be, tomorrow, I will have the full playlist. So you'll actually be able to sit down and listen to our Nintendo, our Xbox, our PlayStation predictions all in one playlist. So, and there's a good solid, I think almost 6 hours of content there. So there you go. 6 hours of content. That's like an Order 1886 right there. Podcast material. So thanks for everybody that showed up. We'll just do our outros here quickly. Sam?
So yeah, you guys can find me at Samuel Tolbert on Twitter. Happy to talk gaming, movies, TV, stuff like that. You can also find me on Tick Games Network. That's our new URL, our new website. Come check it out. We've been pumping out a bunch of great articles, opinion pieces, reviews, and E3 is upon us, people. It's just a few days away. It is right here, and while I will not be writing anything for the duration of E3 because I'm actually going to be there reporting on the ground with the Iron Lords podcast team, Jared and Nick are both going to be here alongside the remaining members of the crew, and they will be giving you pretty much everything that is announced at the show at any of the conferences. So we got you covered. Come check us out. Yeah,
for sure. Jared?
Well, I guess people can also find me at Twitter, at RageVirus_X, and at TickGamesNetwork.com as well.
Right on. And Eric?
Yep, you can also find me on Twitter, EC Jackson with an X, and also on Rap Podcast on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock.
Right on. You can find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. You can find all my details to anything else, business inquiries, emails, everything else, all on my Twitter profile. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to these special editions of the Gaming Perspective. The support for our E3 shows has been absolutely phenomenal. And I want to thank everyone that tunes in and checks them out later, because I know we have a fair amount of viewers that check in the day after. So hope everyone has a fantastic Saturday night. And take her easy.